Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria if you're new, and today's video is about being a black medic at King's College London. So I decided to film this video in light of the horrific murder of George Floyd, but his murder was just the tip of the iceberg. There's Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Belly Mujinga. These are just a few of the names of black people that have been murdered and not been given the justice that they deserve, all because of the colour of their skin. Racism still exists today. Black people are tired. We are tired of not being treated equally, which is why we are fighting, which is why we are pushing the Black Lives Matter movement. There are some people out there that are really quick to tell black people how far that we've come. And yes, we are no longer slaves. Yes, we are no longer getting lynched. Yes, we can say whatever we want on the bus. But people need to accept that inequality still exists today and that we have a very long way to go. These inequalities exist in the healthcare sector, which is why I feel this video is so important. So before I get into the video, if you haven't already, please could you subscribe and share? I would really appreciate it. So I'm going to start the video off with my own personal experience of being a black medic at King's College London, and straight away it was very obvious we were the minority. I'd say out of the 400 people on my course in my year, there's probably around 20, if that, 20 black people, which means we only make up 5% of the whole year. To be honest, it is really hard looking around the room and seeing no one that looks like you. And on top of that, a lot of the people were not brought up the same as me. So I just always felt really alone, isolated, that I just didn't fit in. Although I didn't realise at the time, it did have a really big effect on me. I just hated being on campus. As soon as lectures finished, I would go straight to the station because I just didn't want to be around campus. I didn't want to be around people just because I barely had any friends. The people that I did talk to, we didn't really have that much in common, so to be honest, I'd rather be on my own. Although that being said, one of my best friends is on the course and she is black. And to be honest, the reason why we started talking was because we were both black. I remember the first time I met her was they had a meet and greet before medical school started. And I just remember walking in, I just felt so overwhelmed because it was just all these people that did not look like me, that I didn't know. I just felt really out of place. And I remember I just went to the corner and then I saw a black girl and I just went straight up to her. And it's just like, I don't know, we just had that connection that we were the only black people, and from then we've been friends ever since. And it honestly has made a difference having at least one person that looks like you, that understands you, that was brought up the same way as you. It really does help, but it's still not enough. One person out of 400, you still get lonely. And me and my friends, we weren't in the same group, and that's when it really hit me that I was the only black person in the room, and it made me really introvert. Medical school already is very competitive, and add on top of that you were the only black person in the room. I just did not want to answer any questions. I didn't want to get it wrong. I didn't want people to think that I was stupid, and me being the only black person, I feel like it just added that extra pressure. And not being friends or not really talking to the people in my tutorial group, it just all added to me not wanting to answer questions, and I just became pretty introvert. I didn't really talk to them that much unless I had to. As soon as tutorial finish, I'll be on my way home. And it's reached a point that I didn't enjoy going into medical school at all. I would say that having ACS, which is the African Caribbean Society, really did help me during my first 2 years. It was just nice being around people that look like you, and that was like my safe haven, I guess. So I would have lectures 9 to 5 during the day, and there would be events in the evening that ACS would hold, and that's what would get me through during the day, just knowing that I would be around people that I get along with, that are like me. Honestly, if I didn't have ACS, I don't know how I would have gotten through the first 2 years, because even with ACS, I was still sad, and that was me being the only person in a new university. All my friends went to universities outside of London, so I wasn't seeing them. And then coming into medical school, not really getting along with anyone, not really making friends. It was hard. It was really hard. But ACS did help me get through it. In my first year of uni, I decided to join the GKT football team, and GKT stands for Guy's, King's College and St Thomas's Hospital, and this is just basically the medical school football team. So from the start, I already knew I did not fit in at all. Like, we didn't have the same banter, we didn't have the same interests, nothing. But I loved playing football, so I stuck it out. And then a month in of starting uni, we went on tour, and this is just basically like a team bonding trip in a different country, and we ended up going to Cardiff for the weekend. And everyone got given a top, like the tour top, and it had nicknames on the back. So they asked me, would it be okay if they called me Little Black Marie, because there was another girl called Marie, and she was black. And I was just put on the spot. It was in front of everyone, and I just said yes. But obviously I did feel uncomfortable with it, but I was a fresher, and the girls asking me were 4th years and 5th years, and to be honest, I was just kind of scared. I didn't want to rock the boat. I was just starting out in the team, so I just said yes. And my top said Little Black Marie, and I still have it. I went to go and look for it, and I found it, so I'm just gonna... So this was the top, and as you can see, it says Little Black Marie in 2015, and we went to Cardiff. So this is the obvious type of racism that occurred, and I know that the girls weren't trying to be malicious or anything like that, but it's just kind of ignorance that they don't realize that this isn't acceptable at all. I know there's probably people saying that, why didn't I say anything? But again, like I said, these girls are literally like 4 or 5 years older than me, and I was in front of everyone. I just did not want to cause a scene, but obviously now that I'm older, I would obviously say something. But it just made it hard being part of that team. The whole GKT culture in general is just not for me. It's just, there's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of kind of like obscene jokes. It's just not for me, which made it hard to bond with the girls. We just had nothing in common, and in the end I quit football around January, February times, because the love of football wasn't enough. I just wasn't enjoying being a part of the team, because I did not feel part of the team, which is a shame, that because I was a minority, and there was no one else that looked like me, there was no one else that was really brought up like me, there was no one else that I got along with, it made me quit the team. Another point is the curriculum. We are taught that white people are the norm. So there are signs that we get taught, such as pallor, which means going pale, and a black person's not going to go pale. Or if there's liver failure, you turn yellow, a black person's not going to turn yellow. Or if there's lack of oxygen, you turn blue, a black person is not going to turn blue. So stuff that we are taught does not apply to the whole population. It will only apply to white people or people with lighter skin. We're also not taught how rashes appear on black skin, and this is so dangerous because we are being told to look for clinical signs that are not obvious in black people. These patients are now being detected late, which could affect their chances of survival, or if they do survive, they could suffer from long-term effects. All because we have not been taught how rashes appear on black skin. This just shows that for future doctors and current doctors, we need to raise our clinical suspicions earlier so that we can treat these black patients before they deteriorate. I also wanted to touch upon how some lecturers deliver their lectures. I've talked to other black medical students at King's at different years, and they've also pointed out that there are some lecturers that describe black people as the blacks, which is totally inappropriate, and they would say it throughout the lecture, which is wrong. And when you look around, most people don't really bat an eyelid. And for a lecturer who is a doctor, talking to future doctors and referring to black people as the blacks is very, very, very worrying. Another instance where I was having a lecture on TB, which stands for tuberculosis, and the lecturer was just going through this PowerPoint. He showed a white person and it was just a normal picture, whereas he then started talking about his work in a country in Africa, I can't remember, and then he took a picture of a lady and her child, and she was breastfeeding the child, and she was naked. You could tell that they looked very unwell, and me and my friend was just thinking, why did you feel the need to post this type of picture? Examples like that people need to be careful of how they portray black people, because although they may not mean to intentionally, it portrays black people in a negative light, because not all black people are in poverty, not all black people are suffering, but posting a picture like that just kind of puts the wrong idea out. There's also been many examples of microaggression throughout my time at medical school. Little stuff such as, oh wow, like you do medicine here, like there being a shock that I study medicine, and I don't understand why, because if it was someone that was white, maybe upper class, middle class, you wouldn't bat an eyelid, but me that's black and maybe the way that I sound, it's now surprising that I study medicine. And I was talking to my friend and he was telling me that they had the Cultural Awareness Day, and it's just basically involved a lecturer asking the students their opinions and stuff. So they use poll everywhere. If you're not aware of what this is just basically, you can use your phone. It's a website where you type your answers anonymously and it comes up on the board. So the lecturer started with simple stuff like pizza, movies, and then he started to ask about race. So he first put white, positive. He put Asian, positive. He said black. People said criminals and scary. And the lecturer made it so that this was a safe space, so you can say what you want. So we now know that there are future doctors that find black people scary and criminals. And my friend told me that there was no follow-up. So it's quite worrying to think that you're now aware that there are some people that hold these views of black people, and you're not doing anything about that to change their opinion, to show that their opinion is wrong, that not all black people are criminals and scary. I feel that this type of opinion is held by some people that are currently doctors, and statistics don't lie. Black women are 5 times more likely to die from childbirth, and this is simply because their symptoms are not taken seriously. They are telling doctors that they're in pain and nothing's being done until it's too late. Black patients are also 50% less likely to receive pain medication, and I believe this is down to some doctors having a prejudice against black people and basically getting away with how they're treating patients. If there are doctors that think black people are scary, that black people are criminals, you're not going to want to talk to them, you're not going to listen to them, and statistics don't lie. Black patients are also more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act. Again, I feel like this is just down to the idea that black people are aggressive and seen as a threat. During my mental health placement, this was the only time when black patients were the majority, and they were mainly men. Again, I feel like this is because black men are seen as a threat. The current coronavirus pandemic going on, I obviously have to mention that black people are 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19. And it makes you think, what is the reason? And we already know that black people are more likely to have comorbidities. This just means having multiple diseases, long-term conditions. And we also know that ethnic minorities make up a disproportionately high amount of the number of key workers. And in the latest UK government report, a section with the responses of over 1,000 organisations and individuals who provided evidence suggested that discrimination and poorer life chances increase the risk of black people dying from COVID-19. These inequalities is due to the structural barriers and systemic racism that is still here in the UK today, which means it's going to take a lot of time and work to break down these inequalities. However, there is stuff that we can do today. My medical school sent out an email yesterday and they used the term BAME, which is Black, Asian and Minority Ethnic. In this case, black people are mainly the minority. I would say that probably 40% of the people on my course are Asian. So it's literally only black people in this case that are suffering. We are the minority. There is not many people that look like us on the course. My medical school has not properly addressed this situation at all, and I'm still waiting. And even with our medical school association, the lack of response is telling. We have a weekly newsletter and they have not mentioned anything. They have told us that they will say something in the next newsletter, but again, we are still waiting. In terms of there being a lack of black people on the course, it's due to systemic racism. Black people are not getting high quality education, which means they're not getting the grades, which means they're not applying for medical school, or the ones that are getting the grades, they may not feel that they can be a doctor because they don't have that support system around them. King's do have a widening participation program, which is great, but clearly more needs to be done. There are not enough black doctors, there's not enough black medical students, more has to be done. King's also needs to address the views that some medical students have in terms of black people and the stereotypical views of black men are scary, criminals. black women are loud, aggressive. These views need to be changed. They may not realize that they hold it, but when it comes to the clinical setting, we've seen from the statistics that this is the case. You're not taught about this at all. Cultural awareness is not taught in medical school. I'm sorry, but most of the people on my course probably have not really interacted with that many black people or know that many black people. So it's not a surprise that some of them may hold these views. But again, Kings needs to make sure that these views are not held from when we become doctors, because it is affecting black people's lives. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I feel like it was a topic and conversation that needed to be brought up with everything going on, because there is a lot more work that needs to be done. Again, if you haven't already, please could you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.